All right, ever more that I figure I might as well expose about the world of the unknown. All right, so um, my interest back when I was in my earliest 20s, Chinese medicine and martial arts. So I was taught by Guy Theron Galbraith, Guy T. Galbraith, a set of Okinawan forms called the Tomarite forms. They were sort of repopularized by a small set of Okinawan Kenpo instructors. So this would look much more like something like moving Wing Chun almost. If you look up if you look up Okinawan Kempo, especially Okinawan Kempo, and then the words Tanren, Tanren, on the internet, you will find a site that's actually managed by the government of Okinawa. And it concerns, there's a site that's about the physical culture of Okinawa. And it's a beautiful website. And it has an amazing presentation of Okinawan martial arts. So one of the most famous kind of people who is sort of badly associated with Okinawan martial arts, positively and not positively, is a man named Dillman, George Dillman. Now, in his early career, some of what he taught about the use of kata was absolutely fantastic. And there's things about what he taught that we now understand a lot about the science of why certain pain and injuries happen the way they do. Why there's just techniques that the physics of them work, whether in judo or if you apply the bunkai of a kenpo kata. And that really he presented to people, this is actually simpler than you think. Eventually, his kind of work dovetailed with the world of the Arnis people and the world of people like Paul, the Enigma Vunak, and the world of, say JKD and its concept of destructions of limbs and bones and joints. Because Okinawan Kempo was seen as sort of this weird, like, rough and tumble thing compared to the more sporting Shotokan Karate and the varying lineages that came out of the Shotokan school. So one of the interests that came were a lot of these people got into Chinese medicine and they became acupuncturists. My teacher was actually a major part of making the Doctor of Oriental Medicine degree come into existence. They there was no program for this. China and Japan had certain cultural exchanges and scholarly exchanges, and then exchanges that happened with, I believe, people in Hong Kong and Taiwan with China. Remember, Hong Kong was still British. That allowed the communist Chinese to sort of put Chinese medicine back together because they had really ruined. The Cultural Revolution was bad. It was bad for them. It was very, very, very hard for them. So Jet Li pops up in the early 80s with this rebirth of Chinese Kung Fu. And so I even have a poster from one of the first tours of the Shaolin monks coming out, way back then. So when I got interested in this, I wanted to make sure I knew what the hell I was doing and what I was getting into. So I have what I could recommend for all of you. One of the best, actually, for anybody who's into the world of even MMA. This is actually just good to know because, and this is one of the most concise, smallest, easiest to understand, and that there's lots of references to other books in a lot of the ones I have. And that is Tedescos' Essential Anatomy for Martial Arts and the Healing Arts. This is also very handy if you're going to go into massage therapy. I highly recommend, if you're somebody who is thinking of going into massage therapy, always consider it a side job because it's physically very hard. 2, it helps to know something about martial arts. I highly recommend taking Tai Chi Chuan, just even Tai Chi for health. Just do it for a little while. Not yoga, Tai Chi for health. They operate differently. If you're doing Thai massage, take yoga. But if you're doing pretty much normal massage, shiatsu, or especially if you're learning Chinese massage, then they're probably teaching you Tai Chi Chuan as a part of your curriculum. And really, people, this is why when people don't take Tai Chi Chuan seriously, it's that you haven't seen how it's employed. It's all the same shit. It's the human body and it's human movement. You just haven't seen how it's employed. So then, for those who really kind of want to get into it, you want to know some shit about how acupuncture is used, about the concepts, about how do the Chinese train the Chinese. You get this book, Chinese Acupuncture and Moxibustion, the Iron Man book. And this book is fantastic because it's all of it in pinyin, and it's all these, it's category after category of everything you have to know about the fundamentals of Chinese medicine, in the provision of it, in the fundamental knowledge of it, and stuff like that. I spent a long time going through this, especially knowing about, and then meridians. Let's see, I wonder if I could find, oh great, there they are, muscle zones, stuff like that. Why do you get eye ticks at certain times of the night and certain times of the day? Why is it all these various things? Why do the lips go dry? But there's all this stuff about it, and it's just the way that they say it has to be, it's hard to translate. It's very hard to translate. It's just like us trying to translate Greek ideas. So, next up, application of such theory. Okay. No. Prior to that, this book is fantastic. Grasping the Wind. This is actually great, especially if you're into languages, because it gets into not just character, but then also varying ways that it might be pronounced and varying names of the points, and then what they're for and why they're, and various explanations. It's just a fantastic book that really gets you a good understanding of Chinese culture and language, which I do not speak any. God speaks Chinese. That's a joke about, if anybody knows who Mr. Clarence Ty Lee is, they might know that joke. So this book I bring up because this will all tie together. Taoist Secrets, Cultivating Male Sexual Energy. There is a female companion book to this. This is Montauk Chia. This guy has his own set of books on the subject, Michael Wynn. You will find, if you look this up, a lot of this kind of thing. This actually is the far more left-hand path book of a subject that's called fundamentally Nei Gong, inner work. But it's the real thing. This is, it has charts about information about the way that the brain works when people are in coitus. It has how you meditate, about how you move energy through the body, different parts of the body that are usually not discussed in most Tai Chi for health classes, you could say. His system has names for areas that you concentrate on that are different than other systems I've ever been into. His work was recommended to me by one of my most recent teachers who taught me Xing Yi Chuan, to just simply understand the concept, because in that style of Xing Yi Chuan, a thing called the iron body was taken on very quickly, that type of training, because it just fundamentally went along with it. To get generally familiar with Taoist, and it's even, we call it Taoist, but but fundamentally Taoist meditation. I like to think that, especially those of you who are really into kind of proto-Indo-European culture, and you're beyond Judeo-Christianity and stuff like that, and that's totally cool, Hey, this is very then good to know, because it's interesting how the concept of meditating on star systems becomes a big deal. What is this? Oh, my device is low on disk space. I better start getting serious about this. So this is all kinds of information. So Montauk and Maniwan Chia, Awakening the Healing Light of the Tao. This is a fantastic book. This is almost everything you would ever need to know about sort of a wide variety of Taoist practices, and it's done in a way so here's one for the ladies, if there's any watching. Ways that the body is actually meditated on and massaged for longevity purposes. And so this would be what I would call, in the way that Americans think of it, left-hand path. This is very active stuff. And you usually do have to be trained to some degree in it. Some of it you don't at all. Some of it's very, very normal, especially things like sealing the senses is one of the things that comes up in it. This is a far more conservative version, and this is the actual Bodhidharma Zen muscle tendon changing, marrow and brain washing, ligament and tendon changing system. And it's a fantastic book, and it's the various Qigong forms that go with it. And so this is one of these things that, even if you don't want to take on the methods that are prescribed in this book, that you have your own methods that you are going through, it's good because he has, there we go, original passages, and then his elucidation on their translation from his actual experience. And so one of the key things he gets into is that it is very, very, that you don't do a lot of the type of massaging of the genitalia and things like that. That's its own separate thing that comes at a totally different time, long after a long series of forms of training. And so it's very interesting, the two different approaches. I highly recommend both books. This is actually a great book that comes out of clinical practice, 5 Elements and 10 Stems. This is one that if you are, say, a massage therapist and, say, do Jinshin, I don't know what Reiki, I just don't know what it is. But if you do especially some Jinshin, or you do Chi Nate Song or something like that, or you do stomach, I forget what that one is, Shiatsu, anything like that, this is a fantastic book to have. It's rather advanced 5-element theory. And yes, those of you who say you do Kung Fu, if you're like, wait, 5 elements, 10 stems, yes. Tian, the tree of heaven, the with the 5 branches, 10 stems. And yeah, so it's actually it's a very interesting book. This is one that my teacher, Guy T. Galbraith, had highly recommended to me. That he's like, this, and he was like, this is very advanced stuff. And I mean, really, I only read maybe about 30 pages into it. I mean, it even gets into, the pulses and descriptions of them, stuff like that. Yeah. Boom. Keiko Matsumoto and Stephen Birch. yeah, so there's some things about Chinese medicine, an interest of mine for many, many years, and I still employ it. Sort of, it's just become kind of a part of what I do and the way I look at the world. So it's a little weird, but yeah, that stuff I like. And the music provided by Galt McDermott. That's pretty.